Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be on this sliced finger Halloween special effects makeup. You can do this anytime, but I think it's perfect for Halloween, and I personally love it. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's go ahead and get into it. The first step is I already took some of this liquid latex and just placed it where I wanted to put the scar wax. So you'll see that I put it on the middle part of my finger on one side, right under that first bend of my finger. And I'm just going to go in with this scar wax. Mine looks pretty rough, but you can get these at any like Halloween store or online, maybe even at Walmart. I'm not exactly sure. But you just want to take a little bit of that. I'm using a plastic knife to get that out. But then I'm going to warm that up between my fingers just so that it's a little bit more moldable, and it's going to be a lot easier to work with when we're trying to make our finger look as realistic as possible. So I roll that into a ball and then kind of squish it down where it's a little bit more flat. And I'm just going to put that on the side of my finger right over top of where we put the liquid latex. The liquid latex is just there to keep that staying on and keep it sticky. So once we get that stuck down, I'm going to go in with a little bit of this generic Aquaphor. Now you could use Vaseline or petroleum jelly. This is just what I had on hand, but I'm going to put a little bit of this in a paper plate just so that I can dip my finger into it easier and not have to keep going back and forth squeezing it out of the jar. But I just want to take a little bit of that on my finger, and that's going to really help us to smooth out the scar wax just because it won't get stuck to our finger. So you'll see, basically I'm just pressing down and trying to smooth that really closely with the bottom part of my finger. You want your skin to basically show through that part because you don't want to alter the shape of your finger too much. All you want to do is make it look like that the top half of your finger is slid over. So towards the bottom, I'm really smoothing that out, and I want my skin to show through. I don't want there to be a ton of wax on my finger because that's going to make it look a lot less realistic. You just want to get the least amount of wax possible, but it still have that effect. So you'll see that I keep the wax thicker up towards the top bend in my finger, but down towards the bottom, I want it to be as thin as possible. So I'm just smoothing that out, and the Aquaphor really helps with this step, so I would definitely recommend using that. Now this part, I'm going to take liquid latex and I'm going to put it on the other side of my finger. So I'm just taking a little bit of that, and you'll see where I'm putting it. I'm putting it right above the first fold in my finger, but on the opposite side. Obviously, so that when it looks like it's slid over, you have a little bit of extra skin on each side. So I'm putting it there, and then I'm going to take some more scar wax and roll it up and flatten it out and do it just like I did on the other side. Now, I lost some of this footage, so I'm going to have to explain what I did, but it's basically just repeating that first step. I'm just pressing it down right here, and then I'm going to take some of that Aquaphor on my finger and smooth it out the exact same way, except for this time I want to smooth it out towards the top and leave the bottom part thicker. Then I took a toothpick and I just sharpened up those edges. So you'll see in just a second, right here, yeah, this is what I did. I just took the toothpick around, and you really want to make sure that there's no excess wax beneath the part where the cut would be. So I'm just taking that and really sharpening that up, and I did that on that side as well. That's part of the footage that I lost, so I'm so sorry about that, but that's pretty self-explanatory. You just want to sharpen that cut up. So I already think that it's starting to look kind of gory, but to make it even more realistic, these next steps are really going to help. I'm going in with a sponge that's kind of rough. This is just a facial sponge. You can use anything that has like a rough texture, and I just want to blot this all over the area where we put that wax, just because it's really going to help add to the texture, and wax is a lot smoother than our natural skin, so this is going to give it a little bit of a rougher texture, and you just want to do this as gently as possible and not mess up the wax and not take away that really sharp cut, because that's really what's going to make it look realistic. And to blend that into my skin, I'm just going to take a foundation. This one matches my fingers perfectly, and it's really skin-like. It's not a matte finish, it's just kind of a luminous skin-like finish. So I'm just taking that on my index finger and dabbing that all over where we put the wax, and that's really going to help it to look a lot more blended with the rest of my finger and not look like I just put wax on my finger. And you'll see that that does help it to look a little bit more realistic. And you can put this foundation all over your finger. I just put it mainly in the areas where the wax was because I thought that it matched well enough to not have to cover the entire finger. But you could do it either way. I think that that looks really close to my normal skin. And then I'm going in with this red cream makeup. Now you could use a red lipstick for this, and I think that it would work just as well, but I already had the makeup on hand. And I'm going to use a really precise lip brush. You want to use as small as brush as possible. This one was even a little bit too big, but I'm just taking that up under that edge that we've created with the scar wax and all the way around in the crease of my finger that I already have. So this part's kind of hard to show because I'm obviously going up under that edge that we've created, but I think you can get the idea of what I'm doing. I'm just painting that red all the way around to make it appear like I have a cut. And then, like I said, I will make the two sides meet in the crease of the finger that I already have. So where your finger bends right there, those little creases, I'm just taking that red all the way around, and it really starts to look like an actual cut after this step, I think. The next couple steps are optional, but I think they really help to make it look super realistic. So once I have that red all the way around how I like it, I'm going to go in with some black eyeliner. You could use any black eyeliner or black face paint, whichever you have. But this one's really good because it has a super precise tip, as you can see. And I'm kind of going to overlap the black with the red, but I want to keep the black a lot closer to my finger, and I don't want to do near as much of it. And right here you'll see that I actually put a little more than I wanted, so I just went back in with that brush that had the red on it and kind of blended it. It was no big deal. And I think this can look a little bit messy, but you want to try to keep it kind of precise and keep that black to where it doesn't look like it's just a black line around your finger. So just kind of blending all that in, and then you'll see when I go back in with the black again, I try to keep a very, very small amount and not overdo it. So right here, I'm not globbing it on, I'm just kind of doing a super small amount, and I want the red to still peek through. So I'm just doing that all the way around the finger, just like we did with the red face paint. Now for the last step, we're going to go in with some blood, and normally in my tutorials I use a lot of blood when I do a Halloween makeup, just because that's like my favorite part, but you really want to keep the blood to a minimum in this one, just because if you put too much, you're not going to be able to see where it looks like that the finger is slid over. It'll take away from the special effects. So I'm just taking that exact same lip brush, and I'm going to go over all of that face paint with a light coat of the vampire blood, just so that it's a little more shiny and it looks a little bit bloody, but you don't want to do too much, like I said, because you'll see here that when I'm finished, you can still see the skin and you can still see that it looks slid over. So that's it. I think it's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. It takes a little bit of trial and error, but when you're finished, I think it looks super realistic, and this is probably my favorite tutorial I've ever done. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I would really appreciate it, and I hope I see you guys next time. Bye.